So often in life, you come to learn certain things through certain experiences. And you come to realize by the people that have been presented before the simple idea that for so many people, our bodies are mortal, and for some we are infirmed. But it is our spirits and it is our souls that pierce the heavens. You have to believe that we are given experiences life for a purpose and for a reason. That we are chosen for the experiences that are given to us. And they're given to us so that we can use them to have an impact, to have an effect, to make change in the lives of those who exist amongst us. We ask ourselves an eternal question. If God is so good, why is it that he allows for such bad things to happen to otherwise such kind and such good people? Why is it that there are some who have to walk among us that come to know a greater struggle or greater hardship than others can possibly imagine or even attempt to comprehend? JVS teaches us that nobody is sent here with the idea that they are created to suffer. But we learn from JVS that there are some who walk among us that do have to struggle. And we learn that we have to embrace our struggle, that our struggle becomes our identity, that our struggle becomes our purpose, that our struggle becomes our passion, that our struggle becomes our focus, and that our struggle ultimately becomes our reason for creation. We realize as we go through life that there are some who are going to face setbacks. There are some who are going to know injury. There are some who are going to find difficulties. And so often people will approach us and they're going to say, oh, things are going to be okay. You're going to make a full recovery. But for most people, we don't get to recover. And things aren't always going to be okay. But the reason that JVS matters is they teach us the most fundamental lesson of all, the power of how to adapt. So often we think about recovery, but we don't realize that the real essence comes in being able to adapt. Adapt to your new life. Adapt to your new situation. Adapt to a way of living that you might not have wanted or hoped for, but is the life that you have ultimately gotten. Why is it that bad things happen to otherwise such good people? And why is it that there are some who have to know a greater struggle or greater hardship than others can possibly imagine? You come to find when you give unorthodox people an opportunity, when you give them a chance, when you determine that you're not going to move on to the next applicant because it's easy, you will come to find that you will embrace people who have such energy, who have such excitement, who have such enthusiasm for their opportunity, that they realize that failure is not an option. They live life with a completely different perspective, a completely different understanding, a completely different awareness. And the lesson that we take from an event like this is that life can change for any one of us without notice, without hesitation. As you heard in the introduction, I've completed 22 marathons and a full Ironman competition. But it was a beautiful day in New York Central Park. I love the park and know the park, so I can walk without an escort or without a guide. And as I was in the pedestrian lane, a bicyclist was traveling at a speed of in excess of 35 miles an hour. Due to such a high rate of speed, he could not maintain control, and in doing so, veered into the pedestrian lane where I was walking and struck me directly in the back. This required over 10 weeks of hospitalization at New York's Mount Sinai Hospital. Why does JVS matter? Why is it so important? And why is it that bad things happen to otherwise such good people? You come to realize at certain points in life that it's never about the big things. It's never about policy. It's never about grandiose things. Life comes down to the little things. And that is what JVS teaches. That's why this matters. That's why this is important. You forget when you're in the hospital what it's like to have the chance to take a shower or use the bathroom. You forget how it feels to sleep through the night without having to writhe in an indescribable level of pain. People come to visit. I'd always ask them, so tell me, where are you going to go when you leave Mount Sinai? And they'd always say, oh, I'm going to go back to the office, or I got to run some errands, or maybe have some dinner. I'd always tell them, those are the things that people pray for, that people cherish, that people long for. It is never the big things. It is only the little things. It's the ability to ride a subway, have a meal, and ultimately, that feeling you have to have a reason for getting up in the morning, that ability to go to work, to do something that matters, to see colleagues, to make a contribution, to do that what God creates us all to do, to be needed, to be wanted. We have value in our work. It is only through our work that we can feel that we belong, that we have a reason for being, that we ultimately matter. And JVS teaches people and teaches folks the idea that you have to celebrate every victory. No matter how small or incidental it is, you have to cherish everything you accomplish and everything you achieve. They teach people the idea that you have to forget about your old life. We don't have to be happy all the time. We don't have to smile all the time. We don't have to be joyous all the time. That is not natural. It is not real. They teach us the idea that you celebrate every victory, no matter how small, that you look at your life for what it is, not for how it used to be, but for what you're going to ultimately do. We don't have to be happy, but we do have to find a way to adapt and move forward. In my situation, I would celebrate the fact that you could sit up in bed. I would celebrate the fact you could start using a walker, and you would celebrate the fact that you could finally make it to the nurse's station at the end of the hall. In the short time I have with you today, I'm going to conclude with this. It was a New York City Marathon. This would be my 18th, but it would be the first after a catastrophic injury. I used to be a fast and graceful runner. That would not be the case in this race. Running with a shattered hip and crushed pelvis would be difficult, to say the least. As we ran to the streets of New York and crossed the 59th Street Bridge and began running up First Avenue at mile 18, the pain was becoming so intense and so severe that I remember reaching up to the heavens and praying that I would have the ability to finish this race without losing consciousness and without passing out. And what JVS teaches and what employers know, that when you give someone a chance who is unorthodox, who is different, you find that remarkable things ultimately happen, because you find that at those moments, at those times when you really need someone, when you really rely on someone, when their presence is essential, you come to realize that that is when miracles happen. In my situation, I came to find at that moment, at that time, that I was able to find a sense of peace. Peace with my new body, peace with my new circumstance, peace with my new life. But ultimately, I was able to find a sense of peace with our Creator. So why is it that bad things happen to such good people? And why is it that there are some who have to walk among us that come to know a greater struggle or greater hardship than others can possibly imagine? What JVS will tell you is the answer goes something like this. At a certain point in life, you can't spend your time and your energy and your effort focusing on how you're going to get over it. For you come to realize that you simply have no other choice but to just get on with it. And what you find when you employ unorthodox people or different people or challenged people is you come to find that they are the ones who will do what is hard to achieve no less than what is truly great. For you come to realize that we are part of a great story. And within any story, there will always be chapters of pain, setback, and frustration. But it's only through those chapters you will come to find hope, joy, and triumph. It was deep into the night as the angel came upon Jacob. And there existed a great struggle. And the struggle lasted until the sun rose. And when dawn broke, the angel blessed Jacob and gave him a new name, the name of Israel, which is translated to mean one who struggles with God. But Jacob was not left uninjured. Jacob would walk with a limp and know tremendous pain for the remainder of his days. One could interpret this scripture to say this: it was only through his injury, it was only through his pain, and it was only through his struggle that he was able to connect, understand, and empathize. It was only through these talents and these abilities that he was able to become a great leader and the father of a nation. If I hadn't had the experiences I've had, if JVS doesn't exist, if your companies hadn't employed the people that you've employed, the world would not be as good a place. In my situation, if I hadn't had the experiences that God chose for me, I wouldn't be as good a judge. I wouldn't be as kind. I wouldn't be as merciful. I wouldn't be as understanding. We're here to celebrate who we are. We're here to celebrate the journey that we're on. We're here to celebrate the mission that we have been given. But most importantly, we are here to celebrate the idea that yes, our bodies are mortal. And for some, we have infirmities. But it is our spirits that truly know no bounds.